What I wish I knew before starting a garden. No one told me starting a garden would be expensive. And it is quite expensive. There are so many things you need to know before beginning a garden. Um, like the sun pattern and how the sun moves around your home. That's important because if you know where the sun is located the majority of the day, you know exactly where to position your plants that need the most sunlight. If you decide to do your yard, if you decide to do your yard, it's permanent. Like, unless you're just gonna dig up your plant every single time, and that's not even rational. So you're not gonna dig it up. You literally have to choose the best place to put your plant that receives the most sun. And when you're doing container gardening, it's actually easier because you can move it. You can move the containers. And as you can see there, I put mine in totes. So cute, right? But that's also expensive. But anyway, you're going to choose the location that gets the most sun. And when you garden, you also have to think about the trees. Do you have enough shade? If you don't have shade, you got to buy shade cloths if you don't have trees, just to avoid your plants being burned from too much sun. You got to think about your climate, the location, because if you're in a hot location, you can't plant cold crops or cool crops. And if you're in a cool location, you don't expect to grow tropical plants. It's not going to happen. It's not logical. It's just not going to happen. Besides that, you have to worry about pests. You have to worry about squirrels. You have to worry about wildlife, deer going at your plants. I have squirrels like crazy. You probably don't see them right now because I actually put out something that actually worked this time around to stop them from destroying my crops, because you guys, they were wreaking havoc on my stuff. I even fed them. I made a little spot for them to eat away from the garden. I gave them water. I gave them food. And once they finished it, they came over here and said, you know what? I want her stuff too. And that's what they did. So you have to worry about pests. You have to make sure you have tools. Lots of them. That's just a little bit of mine. I have quite a bit of tools. You guys, that gets expensive. Tools gets expensive. That right over there, I got bags of compost because my compost is not ready to use. I use all of my compost that I did create, and then I had to get more at short notice, and mine wasn't ready, so I had to go purchase some. That happens. You got to be expecting the unexpected, like expenses. Unexpected. It's going to happen. You got to think about intercropping plants, like planting plants with plants to stop nature from coming and decimating your stuff. And seeding, you have to think about germinating seeds, the frost, that time. Oh, that is a pretty insect that just flew by. I got nature and all types of stuff back here going on right now. Okay. Getting back, I'm trying to get back focused because I'm looking at my yard too. So, okay, you guys, I'm back. I was tired. I had to come sit down, gather my thoughts, and remember what I wanted to discuss. So, remember I said I wanted to go over what I wish I knew before I started my container garden or gardening in general. So I just sat down, I got my little gardening binder, and I'm going to review a few things. Remember I said location? Location is important. If you live down here in a hot area, you're not going to grow cool crops because it's going to be hot year round. It's going to be hot. So same thing vice versa. If you live up north, you're not going to try to grow mangoes when you know that area is not hot. You're going to have to be down in a hot area to grow mangoes. You see what I'm saying? That's important. You have to know these things before you get started. You have to know how much space you have to work with in your yard, the location. Remember, I talked about the sun and how it moves around your home. You want to track the pattern of the sun to see where it's going to go and how it's going to move. And then that determines what you're going to plant in that location. But if you're doing a container, then it really doesn't matter because you can move it, but it still kind of matters because if you don't want to move your container, then you know where to put it based on the sun. You got to know the soil. Check out your soil. Some things grow in poor soil, some do not. Most of it don't. And they're very finicky. So you want to know these things. Is your soil sandy? Is it clay? Is it loamy? It has the plants are very particular what they want. Okay? You have to know these things. We already talked about climate. We talked about space. Do you have enough space to do what you want to do? If you don't have enough space and you can't go out, you have to move up. Vertical gardening. That works. That's another thing, a whole nother topic we talk about. Now, you want to ask yourself, are you doing this for food, beauty? Are you doing it for both? You doing it to relax? Is it leisure? Your decision. Most people have a layout where they sketch everything. Excuse me. Anyway, they sketch everything. That means they writing out everything. They got a little plan. They're writing out everything. And they know what they want to do, how they want to arrange it. The accessibility. That means, do you want to put plants around your door that's easy to access? You have to do all those things. Companion planting. Remember I told you you're putting plants with your crops to protect it against pests and other things. You have to know those things. I did not know that either. Okay. What else? Talked about the type of soil. I said sandy. The clay soil is kind of heavy. It retains water. That's the main reason you don't want to do that. The loamy soil is the best soil because it's a balance of sand, silt, and clay mixed together. It's ideal for your plants. That's mainly what you want to go towards. You're going to test the soil to make sure it is offering the best nutrients and minerals, and the pH is good. Because if not, you're going to have to amend your soil. When you amend it, you're adding nutrients and components to it to make sure it's favorable for your plants. Like compost, you can add lime, you can add sulfur, add what your plant needs. Let me see, what else? I talked about the shading. And if you don't have enough shade, you're going to have to get a shade cloth. I didn't know that because too much sun can burn your plants. That's why you got to know a lot about the plants, okay? Watering, you can harm your plants by overwatering or underwatering. So it is best to know how your plants operate. Can it go long without water? Or does it need watering every day? And also, you got to know when to water because you just can't go out and water in the middle of the day and scorch your plants. It will kill them. I don't know if they'll bounce back. The best time to water your plants is during the morning because it reduces evaporation and that allows the plants to dry before nighttime, and it also prevents diseases. Didn't know that. That was a mistake I had to learn, okay? You can irrigate them. If you don't have time to water throughout the day, you got a job, you can irrigate. There are different types of plants as well when it comes to vegetables and fruit. They're annuals. That means you're only planting them one time a year. Then you got perennials that it's going to come back. You plant it one time, you guys, it is going to come back. I promise. Those are your asparagus, rosemary, and I know my bell peppers, they do that as well. And I didn't even know that. I planted my bell peppers. They did that. Wonderful thing. When you companion plant, I think I talked about that. It helps minimize pests in the garden as well as those stinky rodents that likes to come and wreak havoc. And the moths. The moths, oh my God, y'all, that's on a whole nother level. The moths lay the little eggs, the eggs hatch, and that's where you get the vine borer that destroys your squash. You can get the tomato hornworm. They like nightshade plants like bell peppers, tomatoes, eggplants. They will destroy your stuff. I didn't know that until one year I came out and my stuff was missing, and I cried. I literally cried because it was gone, and I put in so much hard work and effort. I think I went over the map. Well, I said your zone. You have to know your growing zone. You have to know your growing zone. I wasn't aware of that before I started. But you just can't go out and throw seeds and expect everything to be hunky-dory. Not going to happen. No, you have to know. You got to know the pros and the cons of everything. Starting from seeds, which is more cost effective. But you also need to know, if you're starting from seeds, it also requires more time, more effort. So that's why I say don't just go out there throwing seeds and then wonder, well, what's happening? It's not growing. I'm not producing food. I can't eat. It requires time, effort. You need to know exactly what you're doing before you're doing it. Transplants, they are faster. No lie. You can go to Lowe's. You can go to any hardware store, get the little plants that's already started. But guess what? It's going to be more expensive too. So yeah, it's all about choices. But if you're going to grow from seeds, you want to make sure you get quality seeds from reputable sources. You want to time it correctly based on your climate and your location, because, like I said, it's not going to grow adequately if you just throw them out there during the wrong time and the wrong season. You got to know how to harden them off. That means you're growing from seeds in your home and you're getting ready to take them outside. You just take them outside because it looks nice and warm. No. They have to be acclimated. So gradually introducing them to the outdoor conditions before they're put outdoors. Because if not, you're going to shock them. And when you shock them, I don't know if they're going to bounce back. There's no guarantee. When it comes to garden pests, sometimes if you don't want to use chemicals and you don't want to use sprays or whatever, you can use natural sources like plants, or you could introduce other insects to take care of it, or animals. But when I tell you introduce these things, like other animals, you're going to have a whole new deal of problems. So you have to choose the best choice for you. You got to choose whether you're going to do your garden totally organic. Totally organic, it's very, very possible, but you got to put in work. Chemicals don't require a lot of work, but you're going to have to deal with the long-term health effects after it. You're definitely going to have to deal with that. What else? Fertilizing your garden? Nobody told me about this. You can't just throw them out there and expect it to grow and have everything that's provided, because chances are, if you're just starting a garden, the soil is not ready. You have to put in work and nourish this stuff. So it's more than likely going to need fertilizer. And now you have to choose, do you want to do organic fertilizer? Do you want to do chemical fertilizer? Remember what I told you about chemicals? They provide immediate results or nutrients, but they can deplete your soil of health over time. Whereas the organic, is putting back in the nutrients slowly. But it's nothing harmful as well. You got to know when to fertilize. You got to know the benefits of mulching. And nobody told me about mulching. Mulching is like when you get wood chips or straw and you put it on top of your soil, and this suppresses the weeds, and it helps retain moisture and keeps your temperature of your soil regulated in the winter and in the summer. And how you're going to weed your garden? How are you going to do that? Are you going to do it by hand? Are you going to use weed barriers? That's expensive. Nobody told me this. The tools, I think I talked about the tools. My God, expensive. You got to learn how to properly clean your tools. Nobody told me this. You just can't go clip something off this plant that's infected with fungus or something, and then go over here, ooh, that needs pruning, and you get the clipping. Nope, 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 nope. You know why? That's called it's called cross contamination. Sorry, and you don't want to do that. You do not want to cause a whole new way of problems. You just don't want to do that. Okay. So you got to learn about properly cleaning your tools, how to compost properly, how to conserve water, pollinator friendly gardens. You want to learn about common problems with your plants. Why are they turning yellow? Why are they wilting over and slumping, look like they're about to die? Why are all these pests on my plants? Spacing. Spacing is important. You don't want to overcrowd them. I think I talked about rust, powdery mildew, rust, blight, blossom end rot. When I tell you it is so many issues, it is unbelievable. On top of that, nobody told me, hey, this is the time you got to pick your plants. You got to harvest them. This is the best time to pick your fruits and vegetables. This is how you know when they're ready. And when you harvest them, you just can't let them sit there and go bad because you put in all this work and effort. You got to know how to can them, how to preserve them, how to dry them, how to freeze them. Are you going to blanch them? Are you going to keep them in little bags? Are you going to vacuum seal it? Do you need a vacuum sealer? Do you need a canner to water bathe it? Then when all that is said and done, you got to clean your garden. You have to remove all the debris. You have to start over. You have to record every single thing, the dates, observations. It's ridiculous how much goes into gardening, you guys. How much? This is my little binder I found, and it's an old binder. Very old binder. But you guys, gardening is not for the weak. It's not for the faint at heart. And I'm telling you, you put in work, you put in effort. It can be very rewarding. It can be very rewarding. So all you have to do is not give up. But I just really wish someone would have sat me down and told me all of these things before I started my gardening journey. And I started it in 2020, the year of COVID. All because I didn't want my children to suffer. And I'm still feeding my family. I'm feeding myself. I must say I do feel healthier, and we are healthier. Now you have to make your decision what you want to do in regards to gardening for your family. Feel me? Until next time, you guys.